I played a lot of games this year, alright? I played a game called Bonky Trick, so you gotta understand that every game on this list is something that's definitely worth your time. And in cases this is seeming a little familiar, yes, I'm aping off of Donkey Style, but the main difference is that this will be more written. Not more well written, just more written in general. Also, of course, unless I say otherwise, this list should not be considered a ranking, just a collection.
Number 15, Chimpanzee vs. Drone.
In my many years of videos gaming, one of my greatest sins is never playing many Tony Hawk games. Like, I knew the games were good, I even played the first 2 Pro Skaters as a child, but the vast majority of them escaped me for so long, which includes the lauded Underground games. I fixed that this year by touching both of them, and in my humble, Cheez-esque opinion, Underground 2 is the better game. But it's honestly a close competition because while 2 is a lot funnier and has more silly gimmicks and is a bit naturally easier and has a modern PC mod to have the old ass PC port have proper windowed widescreen and customizable soundtrack and even moddable characters, Bam Margera ain't no replacement for Eric Sparrow. But one big difference is that Eric Sparrow is a fictional villain that reminds us of the worst people we know, but Bam Margera was just like that. Anyway, this game's good. I won't say where you can get a good release of the PC port, but I will say that you're gonna want to clown job that port ASAP. If you know, you know.
Number 14, Human Skin.
When I was younger, I, alongside other 90s kids, were first thrust into the wild world of anime. Whether it's through watching your Pokemans or checking out Sailor Moon and wondering why you feel a little funny watching the hot girls, everyone at the time who is now very into anime has something that brought them to the dance, and for me, it was Dragon Ball Z. Through many episodes of yelling, shooting lasers, dyeing your hair, and saving the world while also seeing some people you know get brutally sent to the next dimension, we were hooked. And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is a game that really puts us in the shoes of our favorite country hick from space and all of his friends. It's not perfect, no adaptation of Dragon Ball can really truly be perfect, but it's as close to perfect as a game that lets you learn how to drive with Goku can be.
Number 13, Bobby Orr's game-winning goal.
When I first played Undertale, I was like, damn. Then, when I first played Deltarune, I was like, holy shit. And when I finally played Undertale Yellow a few years after it came and went in terms of being the cultural zeitgeist, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's that kind of game. It expands on what made Undertale so good while not going so far overboard that it feels like it came from a different universe entirely. It feels like an actual prequel, limiting itself to what was established in Undertale and never once trying to double dip and feature some kind of mechanic from Deltarune, and it works staggeringly well. If you wanted more almost official seeming content from Undertale specifically, definitely check out Undertale Yellow. Also, although I've not done it, I recommend doing the Neutral, Pacifist, and No Mercy runs because all 3 of them are much more different than what players might be familiar with.
Number 12, Zonky.
Scratch.
Everything I said earlier about damn and holy shit applies here, but slightly more, because while this is far and away the least alike Deltarune fan game in terms of lore and such, it's also one of the funniest games I've played all year. For some reason, every joke it fires at me is laser focused to hit me directly in my funny bone, whilst also being a genuinely intriguing original story set in a Deltarune adjacent universe, if that makes sense. Honestly, Ribbit is solely worth it just for this joke. Hey, yo! Alright, fun's fun, but this ends here. Ready to get owned? Owned? What are you, a 2008 relic? Psst, you wanna know what 2008 it's like in it, boys? And it's the fucking tank man in the reflection. Guys, I think video games are good, actually.
Number 11. Just
letting Gandalf die.
As a young child of about 12 summers, one of my favorite games was Sonic Unleashed for the PlayStation 2. It sure was one of the ports of all time, but I loved it like a brother, to the point where I broke a controller's left analog stick because I kept holding it up to make Sonic move forward. You thought stick drift was bad. I would never play the HD versions of Sonic Unleashed, and part of me knew I was missing out, never playing it on Xbox, even if the Xbox port was apparently so poorly optimized that it would take approximately 2 console generations to make it run good. But come March of this year, 2025 current year, and the Sonic Unleashed recompilation will not only allow those who have missed out on Sonic Unleashed as it was meant to be played have a new opportunity to do that on PC. They also have access to mods both within the game already and outside to customize your experience the way you want to play it. Is the game actually good? Honestly, the only thing I can say is unequivocally better is the Dark Gaia fight, which wasn't that hard to make better. Also, the only real way to play this game is undoubtedly the Miku as Chip mod. All in all, yeah, it's worth playing, at least like once a year.
Number 10. Tomb Raider and Hitman marketing campaigns.
Do you remember the summer where everything happened and you got to experience that firsthand? It's hard to properly define what that means, but in my own opinion, it's the summer that first started shaping you into the person you are today, and it's hard for some to properly wrap their minds around the fact that small moments of our lives can eventually define us as adults. Some can't remember that time of their lives. I certainly can't, despite being introspective and nostalgic, but some can. And in Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid, you live through the summer that defined one particular child. Inspired by the Boku no Natsuyasumi franchise and the general tradition some children undergo of visiting their extended families in the countryside, or inaka, this game puts you in the shoes of someone living their best summer ever, one that informs them of what kind of life they'll lead, whether they become an art teacher, an explorer of the world's tallest peaks, or at home flying high at the circus. There's not much to really go into that isn't just recounting specific events of the game, so I'll leave you with the undeniable fact that Ryoko is best girl.
I hate this game.
I've talked a few times in videos about my history with dating sims, but to summarize with flowery language, at the tender age of 18 years old, I experienced Karawa Shoujo a short time after it had released. It was the first time I had ever played a game where the main goal was to read about a love story, whether successful or a failure, and nothing else. Granted, it's more of a visual novel than a dating sim, but it still affected me nonetheless. Years later, a similar story would occur in my encounter with Doki Doki Literature Club, a game much more blatantly a visual novel wrapped in the guise of a dating sim, and I was affected deeply once again, for different reasons. And now, years after that, I stand before you digitally to talk about Date Everything. This game was derided in places as another Western devs only know how to make parody dating sim games, because now it's about wanting to fuck your couch. And I mean, who wouldn't? But there's so much more gold underneath this pile of furniture and sundries. It's pretty fair to make the claim that this is a game about quantity over quality. I mean, you've got over 100 characters to romance. Someone is gonna get left behind in terms of good writing, hello Dorian. But the quality is in abundance, more than one would assume on the outset. You've got a game console who's lost in a sea of split personalities, having to recall other events through mimicking the progression of a game, a fridge who is so used to providing for others that they can't bear the thought that anything could be wrong with him, and the mere idea of that causes him to lash out, a diary who is so full of your own thoughts that she doesn't exist outside of you and must discover things about herself, and a ghost who has easily the best singular story. There's a running plot in the background too, so don't think you can just date your rat trap and then call it a day, though I wouldn't blame you. I mean, look at him, he's peak performance. But there is a greater ending to this game, and it's worth making it there, so you should.
Number 8.
He kinda is canon,
Oh!
All right, time to go, bitches.
I got nothing to really add about Hades that hasn't been said, even with my corny, try-hard prose. Everything that can be said has been said, and it's obvious why the game is so good, especially in a post-Hades 2 world. Dusa is best girl.
Number 7. Dudleytown, Connecticut, the Valley of Whispers.
In the year of our Lord and Savior 1994, a lot happened. The major motion picture The Lion King released in theaters. We lost Kurt Cobain. Apartheid ended in South Africa. Amazon was founded by Jeffrey Bezos. The PlayStation is first released in Japan, and most importantly to me, I was born. But second in importance, Mother 2 was released in Japan before being released in the US as Earthbound the following year. I never grew up with the games, since by the time I was able to hold on to a game controller, I was knee-deep in the N64 and PS1 mines, and I would be without a real Earthbound experience for the vast majority of my life until this year. And honestly, I was missing out. This game is the quintessential childhood gaming experience, not just because it's simple to understand even for a child, but because it really does capture the experience of a child imagining what it would be like to be important enough to save the world. The kind of innocence that comes with knowing as a child that everything would turn out okay, even if you didn't know how. Hilarious, heartfelt, and a radical kind of game in its time, and possibly even now as well. There's a reason why The Legend of Earthbound has lasted as long as it has. It's the first game that legitimately tells you, the player, that it believes in miracles, and that's why it believes in you.
2004.
Number 6.
What would you do to do it all over again? How much of yourself would be thrust into the ether just to try again? How many times would you bear the brunt of the injustices you have faced to do it right? If you could just say the right thing, do the right thing, eat the right food, maybe things would be better this time. That's the general concept of In Stars in Time, another Earthbound-like in a similar vein as Lisa and Undertale, but whereas the former uses the simplistic graphics to more starkly switch between goofy, silly humor and utterly devastating subject matter and darker themes, whilst the latter expands on the idea of a friend being anywhere and everywhere you can look. In Stars in Time uses the Earthbound inspiration to tell a story that can really only be done in a video game, where you exist in a world where color had not existed in decades, an entire nation vanished, the local magic system involves rock, paper, scissors, and time is a nearly tangible physical thing. Featuring a cast of lovable, intrepid heroes who only want to save the country and possibly the world. Whole entire books worth of lore both on the surface and deep underneath. Incredible music and beautiful writing to carry you to the ultimate culmination of what is happening to you and why things keep happening again and again. It's one of those games where no playthrough can truly be perfect, and that's the point. Mistakes will be made, which is normal. After all, it's our imperfections that keep us human.
Número 5.
The year was 2005, and a man makes a difficult decision. He must make a video game with a limited budget and crew, and it must be good enough to not only save his job, but the jobs of many other people. If he failed, he vowed to never work in video games again. This must be his magnum opus, because if it wasn't, he wouldn't have one ever. Higher-ups balked at the ideas he had, saying it was too Japanese for the West and too mature for the Japanese audience, as they were a family-friendly company. But he didn't back down, and soon enough, Ryuga Gotoku was born. And almost 2 decades later, it seems like the journey is truly over, at least for the face of the name Yakuza, Kazuma Kiryu. But with that comes a real big, true send-off with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, one of the biggest single-player turn-based RPGs that's available for purchase in current year. With so much content that it feels like you need to take a vacation from completing it 100%, it's the game that just keeps on giving, even when you think there's nothing left to give. Is it absolutely better than its predecessor? Of course not. No sequel is unequivocally better than the original or even the previous game on virtue of something being left behind or lost in translation. But it's a game that really, truly ties a nice little bow on everything that has happened in the past almost 2 decades. Can you play it without playing every single other mainline game? I mean, yeah, it's still a good game, but I don't think you'll get the true sense of finality of seeing the torch being passed from Kiryu to Ichiban. But for real this time.
Thomas Was Alone is a game about shapes that had to work together and solve puzzles, but that's not all. These shapes have names and feelings. Take Laura for instance, according to the wiki. Wait a second. Laura is a depressive AI who suffers from low self-esteem due to her belief that everyone she meets abandons her. You're a rectangle!
Keita Takahashi is a game director I respect and appreciate a lot, even if I've only ever played 2 of his games, Katamari Damacy, and one of the greatest games created by human hands, which is its sequel. I had not played Nobi Nobi Boy or Watan, but I can always get behind a unique vision that is sincere in what it does. And that's part of the reason why I was drawn to 2 a T, Takahashi's newest game. Another reason was that it had been published by Annapurna Interactive, who put out so many good games in 12 minutes. This game is silly, has fun visuals and music, tells a wholesome, weirdly relatable story, has deeper themes just underneath the surface. It was a Keita Takahashi game after all. It stumbles here and there in small ways like most indie games do, but there is a soul within this that makes this experience so worth, well, experiencing.
Number 3, the goddamn Batman.
Dog, I got nothing for this. How do I use flowery, pretentious language to properly dissect and reveal the inner feelings I have for a game that I love solely because it's just so fucking good to play? Like, there's very little wrong with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, except for maybe its short length. The music is killer, the gameplay is almost flawless, the story is simple but engaging, the world is immaculate, the characters are wonderful and fun to hang out with. It's so fucking moddable. This game has it all, and I got nothing else to really say about it. It's just that good.
It's time for number 2, The Moon, an indie adventure rocket-propelled grenade.
I've played a lot of games over the years that people will call bad or even outright garbage, solely because these games are someone's favorite games. Regardless of quality or even reputation, or even in spite of that, these games have fans and I can't take that away from anyone, no matter how much someone thinks you can. It was true for me with Drakengard 1, and it's true once again for Drakengard 3. Where the first game had a rough, jagged edge to its tone and characters, the third game has an uproarious and hysterical script and characters that bounce off each other interestingly. Where the first game had gameplay that made the monotony make sense with the greater themes it was portraying, the third game has themes that were bolstered by the events of real life and how little gaming had changed over the years. And of course, the first game feels like the final boss of all PS2 games, and the third game feels like the final boss of all PS3 games. It's smoother, less rough than the original, but in that smoothness and mirror sheen does Drakengard 3 show the player in a new kind of light. Asks them how far they're willing to go to make things right, even in a world where you're called a villain. Not even in a pushing the envelope way where you're questioning your morals like in the first game, but more like egging the player to keep going, even when the challenges seem insurmountable and, frankly, a little unfair. But the farther you make it, the closer that sweet, sweet nectar of victory seems, and it looks like it's worth sacrificing those morals you hold dear just to make it to the end, even at the cost of your life. Especially then.
Oh yeah, you saw this coming.
In 2018, completely on a whim, I decided to go to my local movie theater to catch a limited screening of an anime movie that was on its way out, having seen other films by this director and knowing he's good at making really fun, emotional movies. I watched Mamoru Hosoda's Mirai, and something within me changed. Mirai itself was a nice, fun little adventure about a little boy having to accept that he's got a little sister now and that his actions have consequences. But the moment I heard the main theme in the beginning by the legendary Tatsuro Yamashita, I knew this movie was going to be special. And when the accompanying ending theme, also by Tatsuro Yamashita, washed over me, I knew what it was. The things we do in our limited time in this world have reverberations we'll be feeling for the entirety of it. All the choices we make have repercussions, both good and bad, and we won't know the full breadth of it all until we're in our final moments, so it's important to make the right decisions when they come. Or to quote the major motion picture Gladiator,
"What we do in life echoes in eternity."
And this year, I was reminded of this message by a very unexpected, but very welcome game.
Pretty dance, pretty dance. Everybody burn, everybody burn. Get your star, get your star. Katamari-masu, aza mas.
Once Upon a Katamari is a real return to form for the Katamari franchise, I feel. After Touch My Katamari was apparently a real low point, we've only had Katamari likes here and there, the best of which being Donut County. This was until 2018, when we got Katamari Damacy Reroll, a full-fledged remaster of the first game for modern consoles, and it was a rollicking good time, as expected. Years later, we'd get a remaster of We Love Katamari, the series' high point, and if we can be for fucking real with ourselves, an all-timer, near-flawless game that's in my top 10 Mount Olympus of video games. And the remaster has cemented that spot. But this year, we got a real, true, new game with Once Upon a Katamari, based on various time periods of human history, going from prehistory with dinosaurs and cavemen, to modern day with modern trappings, to even a great big amalgamation like these games love to do. This game seeks to not only entertain with the tried and true Katamari gameplay we know and love, but it's got music that truly feels like it was made for a Katamari game, rather than music that was allowed to be used in a Katamari game, capturing the vibes at least, and the soul at most. But this isn't why this game is topping the list. By traveling through the various time periods of humanity, you see how far we've come and how everything we've done influenced future generations. How in many ways we've changed drastically, but also stayed the same. In the times of cavemen, a child will show their elder a cool rock. In the times of nowadays, a child will show their grandma a cool rock. We're a simple species, and in that simplicity, we thrive and make lives for ourselves and each other based on what has been done before and what needs to be done now. In a way, this is a beautiful reminder that we're all just normal people in the end. Thanks for watching, everybody.